And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to Citi Field. Gary Cohen, Ron Darling with you tonight as the Mets open a three-game series against the Florida Marlins. The Mets last saw the Marlins a couple of months ago down in Puerto Rico, and boy, has the Florida team changed since the Mets last got a look at them.
Well, they really have. They have new outfielders. They're so young. Maven's come up now. Cody Ross was claimed off waivers. He's only 23. You go to left field. Chris Coughlin, of course, had the injury, and Logan Morrison's out there. He's 22 years old, and then maybe the best outfielder of them all, Mike Stanton, 20 in right field.
And with Ronnie Polino under suspension, Brett Hayes doing the catching. So 4 rookies starting for the Marlins tonight, and that's the lineup that'll be going up against R.A. Dickey, who has been just brilliant.
Well, I think he's been one of the best stories in baseball. When you think of R.A. Dickey, his last 6 home starts, he's only has an ERA of 1.79, and he's been outstanding. Shutout 3 out of those 6, but he's going to have to be unbelievable against Johnson, who's 7-1 in his career with a low ERA of 2.55 against the Mets.
Mets finally beat Josh Johnson for the first time on opening day here at Citi Field. Right now, Kevin Burkhardt is standing by down in the field with Mets manager Jerry Manuel, brought to you by the Xerox Business of Baseball. Xerox, ready for real business. Kevin?
All right, Gary, thanks. Not often we get to be in the dugout, just minutes for the game. And, Jerry, when you talk about facing a Josh Johnson, an ace that you've seen before, in terms of game preparation, how much do you get involved with the meetings and talking to the players and talking to the coaches and formulating an attack against him?
Well, what we do is if we faced the guy before like we faced him, then we kind of go over film and check out his pattern against us and what he likes to do and what he likes to get us out, especially in run-producing situations. And we try to identify those things and try to hope that we can get that particular pitch or situation and hopefully get the job done.
It's kind of missing out tonight. It's supposed to be like this for a while. Anything in particular you'll watch with R.A. Dickey in terms of this and how it might affect the grip on his knuckleball?
Well, actually, this is the only thing that really affects him. The wind helps him, but the wet baseball, with the way he grips it, kind of has an effect on him. Not a good effect. I think we experienced that in Atlanta when it would rain and stop raining, that type of thing. So hopefully he can keep it dry, keep his fingers on it, and make it dance.
Will that tend? I mean, we've seen him. You've pushed him. He's gone deep into games. Very capable of that. But with that, will the weather, in terms of circumstances, will that make you maybe have a quicker hook if need be than in the past because of the weather? If he's into trouble.
Well, it depends on how he gets there and how stressful it is for him to get there and how much work he has to do to get to that particular point. But he is one of the guys that has gone very deep in the games for us. So we hope that continues tonight because we got a good battle, with a top line pitcher.
Jerry, hopefully score about 10 runs tonight off Johnson. Good luck and thanks for the time, okay?
That would be nice. Thank you.
All right, guys, right in the dugout. Let's go back up to you, Gary. Take it away.
All right, thanks, Kevin, and thanks to Jerry. A unique opportunity to talk to the manager in the dugout moments before the game. Mets and Marlins coming up from Citi Field. brought to you by Geico, by AT&T Rethink Possible, by Frostbrewed Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer, by Delta, New York's most global airline, is a proud sponsor of the New York Mets, by Acela Express, enjoy the journey, and by Lexus. In the continuing effort to support research to find a cure, Stand Up to Cancer and MLB.com have partnered to create a unique opportunity for you to personally dedicate a virtual piece of Citi Field to someone touched by this disease. Go to MLB.com/standupstadiums and join together to strike out cancer. Here's your New York Community Bank around the majors for tonight. Steven Strasburg with the forearm difficulty headed to the disabled list for the second time. Jose Bautista hit 2 home runs yesterday. In between got thrown at as the Jays beat the Yankees 3-2. 40 home runs now for Bautista. And the Rangers hold their starter, Rich Harden, after 6 2/3 hitless innings. He threw 111 pitches. The Rangers carried that no-hit bid into the 9th when Joe Mauer broke it up. The Rangers winning it 4-0 over the Twins. They now lead by 8.5 in the AL West. Mets and Marlins from Citi Field. The kids are getting ready. First pitch coming up. Ramirez has been back in the leadoff spot for about 3 weeks after hitting third for most of the year. The rookie Logan Morrison settles into the 2-hole. Mike Stanton has hit a lot of home runs in a short period of time. Cameron Maybin just back from the minor leagues, and Brett Hayes, for the moment, the #1 catcher for a different Florida team than the one that faced R.A. Dickey in Puerto Rico.
Well, you can see the Verizon numbers for R.A. Dickey this year, just outstanding, and even better at home as he has 5 wins and only 1 loss, a 1.22 ERA at spacious Citi Field. 14 quality starts out of his 18. And defensively for the Mets, Pagan with 7 assists, Francoeur 9. Beltran his 31st game. Right, Reyes, Tejada, Davis with a homegrown infield, and Tolley getting the start behind the plate.
Handler Ramirez to lead things off. Ramirez, last year's National League batting champion, hitting nearly 60 points lower this year than he did when he won the title. He's at .284 this year after hitting .342 last year. And Dickey's first pitch of the night is a knuckleball inside for ball one. And watching R.A. warm up just before the start of the game, his ball was going all over the place.
So he had a hard time even getting leather on the baseball. He almost had one that knocked Chad Fairchild, the home plate umpire, just out of the box. He got out of there.
And his first two knuckleballs have had a lot of wiggle on them. That one just misses, and it's 2-1. Dickey coming off a heartbreaking no decision in his last start against Houston. A 2-1 lead going to the bottom of the ninth inning. And a line drive base hit, and Ramirez starts it off with a hit.
Well, behind in the counts and comes here. It looks like, well, it's a knuckleball, but it just stayed up in the strike zone. Didn't move too much as he had to throw that for a strike. See that release, and those fingernails are into the baseball. And instead of snapping it down, you push it towards the plate with that flat hand.
Looking for that ball to make about a quarter turn on its way home. Here's Logan Morrison, the Mets' first look at him. The rookie left fielder takes ball one. He's actually a first baseman, but with Gabby Sanchez now established at first, Morrison is playing left field with the season-ending knee injury to Chris Coughlin.
Only 22 years old, going to be 23 tomorrow. They love the way he plays. Hard-nosed player.
Hasn't hit for any power yet. 297, no homers, 7 RBIs, but they think, given his body, he eventually will.
That's the same with Mike Stanton, who didn't hit for a lot of power when he first came up, but then got in the groove.
2-1 to Morrison, who's making his 24th start for the Marlins. There's Gabby Sanchez on deck. Florida has won 5 of their last 6 games. They had been scuffling, and then last week they called a players-only meeting to discuss their troubles and immediately went on a 5-game winning streak before losing their last game to the Astros on Sunday. It's a Florida team that has been able to stay ahead of the Mets in the standings in recent weeks. They're a half game up on New York. There's Edwin Rodriguez, still the interim manager, but certainly might have a chance at being the full-time manager when they make that decision in the offseason. Marlins have played pretty well under Rodriguez.
Well, it's going to be pretty interesting to watch R.A. Dickey here early because he's going to have to make an adjustment. This is the first time I've seen him with this kind of movement on his knuckleball, and his control has been impeccable. That'll be something to watch here early.
Generally, the movement on the knuckleball is a pitcher's friend, but sometimes too much can be your enemy.
Yeah, you can't control it, and if he gets to that point, then of course the Marlins will make the adjustment of making sure not to swing it too many pitches.
And Morrison goes down swinging. First down of the night is a strikeout for R.A. Dickey on a down knuckleball.
You called it, Gary. The hit to Ramirez was up in the strike zone. This one, late movement down. When he is down in the strike zone, that is when he's the most effective.
So 1 out and 1 on, and now Gabby Sanchez, whom the Mets have had big-time problems trying to get out this year. Sanchez hitting .392 against Met pitching, 20 hits in only 13 games. Marlins have won 8 of the 13 against the Mets this year, although the Mets have taken 4 of 6 here at Citi Field. And that knuckleball wiggles it for a strike. Sanchez at .289, 14 homers, 62 RBIs, having a terrific rookie year. Leads all National League rookies in hits, doubles, and extra base hits and RBIs. Certainly a candidate in what should be a very crowded National League Rookie of the Year race. For my money right now, I don't think you can go past Buster Posey, but there are plenty of other candidates on the docket. There's Dan Ugla on deck, who's having a fine year.
Well, you've got Jaime Garcia, who just won his 11th game as a pitcher. Jonathan Neese, I'll include in the top 10 in that group. Buster Posey, and Jason Hayward was the front runner early, but he's certainly not doing, I think, what Posey is.
Posey is doing now, and for a longer period of time, what Hayward did early for the Braves.
The problem might be is that San Francisco, if they don't get in, and Atlanta does get in, it might improve the worth of Hayward to that team. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if voters treat the Rookie of the Year race quite the way they do the MVP, though.
Just the best player.
Yeah. Early on the season, Mike Leake was in that, but his being moved to the bullpen now probably is going to take him out of that. But you mentioned Neese, and I think John has a chance over the last 5-6 weeks of the season of really raising his stock if he keeps pitching the way he has. 3-2 with Ramirez at first, and the throw over and dropped by Davis as Hanley looked like he was leaning the other way.
He's not taking a big lead, though, but an excellent move by Dickey. Really quick, had him, and it handcuffed Ike a little bit, that throw.
Maybe he was expecting a knuckleball. Hanley runs, strike 3 gets away. The batter is out with first base occupied. He can't go anywhere, but Ramirez takes second base.
Again, Major League players don't know the rules, but that happens almost daily. So
Sanchez ran it out just to make sure, I guess. Yeah. But if first base is occupied with less than 2 out, regardless of whether the third strike is held, the batter's out.
And despite him stealing the base also. Tough one for Josh just to get a glove on it. Maybe if Ramirez wasn't stealing, he might have had a chance of catching that.
So it goes as a stolen base for Ramirez, his 24th of the year. 2 strikeouts for Dickey in the inning. And now he'll take on Uglo, who's having himself maybe his best year. 28 homers, 79 RBIs. His strikeouts are down. He's in the top 10 of the league in runs scored and slugging percentage. And that one gets away from Tolle, and over to third goes Ramirez. So we mentioned it early, the moving knuckleball of R.A. Dickey tonight, and Tolle, who's generally done a great job corralling them, having troubles.
And one of the things I think that Josh should realize, if he can, or maybe someone from the bench can yell out to him, almost all the movement on all of these knuckleballs has been away from the right-hander. He should try to anticipate that movement away.
It's a wild pitch, moving Ramirez to third, and now Ugla swings at the knuckleball, 1-1. Mets have faced the Marlins with Dickey twice this year, and Ugla has yet to get a hit against R.A., going 0 for 7. Check swing, and check it out at first, and he went around. Titchener down at first base with the call, and it's 1-2.
Well, good call by Titchener at first. You can see Ugla make and commit. Tried to hold that bat back. He's so strong, he almost held that bat back, but you can see in front of the ball, in front of the plate.
Right at the second baseman, Tejada. And so Dickey able to flutter his way through the opening inning. Mets come to bat against Josh Johnson when we come back. Nothing too much to speak of, as it's all of a sudden become October. Here's your Geico Mets starting lineup. Pretty much the same unit that's been running out there every day. Jose Reyes, the hottest hitter in the Mets lineup, going up against Josh Johnson, and he takes ball one.
Well, Josh Johnson has hit a little bit of a speed bump, but really righted himself last week against the Pirates. 8 innings, a couple of runs. He's 33-11 since getting Tommy John surgery, coming back from Tommy John in 08. 45-21 on his career with those Toyota numbers.
Behind on Reyes, he throws a fastball strike, 2-1. Reyes running a 9-game hitting streak, hitting .462 over the 9 games to get him up to .292 for the year. And he drives one toward right center field. Cameron Maybin cutting across, and he makes the flailing catch. It was a very odd way that Maybin caught that ball, but he manages to hang on.
I think he watched a little too much of top 10, to tell you the truth. This play, though, maybe because of the wind, Gary, that ball fluttering a little bit on Maybin. But he does a nice job of steering it in right to the glove. Goes to the ground to cushion the blow.
So 1 out and nobody on. Here's Angel Pagan. Angel 1 for 9 in his career against Josh Johnson. Ronnie mentioned the speed bump that Johnson has hit. His last 5 starts, he's 1-2 with a 5.01 ERA. But check this out. His 13 starts before that, he was 7-2, 0.79. 0.79 over 13 starts. Here's Dan Uggla under the pop-up by Pagan for the second out.
Well, the defense for the Marlins, that young outfield, 22 Morrison, 23 Maybin, 20 for Stanton. Helms, Ramirez, Uggla, and Sanchez. Ramirez and Uggla, 29 errors up the middle. And Brett Hayes getting the start behind the plate. It's only his 16th start.
And that makes him the more experienced of the 2 Marlins catchers, with the backup Brad Davis, who's only had 4 big league games. Here's Beltran, 1 for his last 13. And Carlos takes a strike. Carlos at .217, 2 home runs through 115 at bats this year. Late swing foul, 0-2. You see that stretch we were talking about. During that 13-start stretch, he allowed more than 1 run once in a 2-1 loss to San Diego. Beltran down, swinging on the high fastball, and Johnson makes quick work of the Mets. No score after 1 at Citi Field. Game starts at $19. Get your great seats direct from the source, Mets.com. Mike Stanton leads off the second inning and takes a strike from R.A. Dickey, a first pitch fastball from R.A. Stanton, the 20-year-old rookie, now with 14 home runs in just 227 big league at bats. He has recently gone through a bit of a home run flurry. He hits with awesome power. Did in the minor leagues before he got called up this year. It took him a little while to get going in the power department, but he's learned a lot in a short period of time.
And they're prodigious home runs.
R.A. Dickey in his last start here at Citi Field threw a one-hit shutout against the Phillies. He only hit a Cole Hamels single. He's already given up one hit in this game. And he strikes out Stanton, already his third of the night. The Marlins are a team that strikes out a lot. 1,008 strikeouts for the year, second most in the league.
And they're an aggressive team, and against a knuckleball pitcher, that's advantage R.A. Dickey. And again, that ball moving to away and off the plate to the right-handed hitters. I mean, you usually don't see big league hitters miss the ball by that much, but it is the knuckleball. It's different.
Wes Helms takes a first pitch strike. Helms now playing most of the third base with Jorge Cantu gone to Texas. Helms hitting just .229 for the year. And the very slow knuckleball, 53 miles an hour. I believe that's a new record.
Oh, that is beautiful. This is the Tim Wakefield special.
And then he comes right back with the fastball, and it's fouled off. The slow one that we just saw, he tried one of those in Houston in his last start, and it was so slow the radar gun couldn't register it.
Sounds like my last month in the big leagues.
And Helms takes it low and away, 1-2. Wes Helms recently signed a contract extension that will keep him with the Marlins next year. He is the elder statesman in that young Marlins clubhouse.
And he has provided a lot of leadership when they've gone through their hard times. He's really been the guy who's been, I don't know, the guy that gets in the middle and tries to sort it all out between the coaching staff, the veteran players, and the loads of younger players that they have.
That's the reason they brought him back to Florida after his stint in Philadelphia. He had done such good work in that regard the first time. But you don't really want Wes Helms at this point in his career to be a starting player. Now the Marlins began to shed talent when they let Cantu go. Recently allowed Cody Ross to leave on a waiver claim to San Francisco just in the last couple of days. And their general manager, Larry Beinfest, said, well, you can call it a white flag if you want. You have to look at where we are.
That's right. He said, we are realistic. We know exactly where we are.
3-2 to Helms. Punched down into shallow right. That's going to fall for a base hit. Helms will stop at first as Frank Core gets there. And the Marlins have their second hit off Dickey. Of course, what was not planned in the exodus of talent for the Marlins was the 50-game suspension handed down to their catcher, Ronnie Paulino.
What did he say? It was a dietary supplement. That usually is the reason that most of these players give.
Yeah, that and the female
that's right.
fertility drugs.
Well, listen, if you're catching every day, you shouldn't really need any dietary supplement. I mean, catching is enough.
One would suspect. Here's Cameron Maybin, just back from the minor leagues, and his first pitch he sees a knuckleball that he rams for a base hit. So Maybin happy to be back, taking Ross's spot on the roster and in center field.
You know, what's interesting is that for some of these hitters, like Helms, who's a veteran, knows the strike zone, and Maybin, whose real problem has been catching up to the good fastball, this almost plays into his strength.
So 2 out and now Brett Hayes, making his 15th start for the Marlins. Hayes and Brad Davis are now the catching core for Florida. Of course, when the year began, John Baker was doing most of the catching, but he's been out most of the year with a forearm strain. And they hope to have Baker back in September, but that's by no means guaranteed. Helms at second, Maybin at first with 1 out. And scooped out by Tolley. 1-1. Well, those are the last 2 starts for R.A. Dickey. Since 2003, the only other Mets pitcher to go more than 8 innings in 2 straight starts was Mike Pelfrey 2 years ago. Slow ground ball. Tejada comes in, has only played a first to get Hayes for the second out.
You know, you saw that second line of R.A. Dickey. I felt his pain because when I was watching the broadcast in Houston 100 years ago, I was pitching and I had a 2-1 lead just like he did in the 9th inning, just like he did. And Andy Ashby came up and there were 2 outs. And I was saying, okay, Bus is going to leave in 45 minutes. Can't wait. And Andy Ashby took me deep.
Andy Ashby?
Andy Ashby.
Alan Ashby.
Sorry, Alan Ashby. The catcher. Took me deep. And I was like, how did that happen? I had this win already in the bank.
And Dickey gave up the home run to Jeff Blum, which was just about the same as Blum's first home run of the season. And Mets wound up winning that game, but it took him 14 innings. Josh Johnson, 4 RBIs this year, 3 career home runs all last season. And he takes a strike, 1-1.
Yeah, I don't know how he'll hit the knuckleball, and he has had a struggle this year, 5 for 52, but he can flat out hit and has lots of power. Boy, that was interesting. Josh Johnson, he caught him taking a little peek at Ike Davis down the first base line, and then he fakes the bunt.
He would have to bunt perfectly to beat it out. He's very slow.
Well, that's what you'll get from the bench when you fake that bunt. Someone will invariably yell, who's going to run for you?
2-2 from Dickey, and it's in there for a call strike 3. Johnson down looking. Dickey with 4 strikeouts through the first 2 innings and works out of another jam. Receiver in the ballpark tonight. Here's your Mets upcoming schedule. Remember, all Mets games on SNY are available in HD, presented by IOTV. And if you're not near a TV, listen to every Mets game on Sports Radio 66 WFAN. This is the first of 3 with Florida, then 3 with Houston over the weekend before the Mets make their second to last road trip, a long one that'll take them to Atlanta, Chicago, and Washington. David Wright leads off the home second in a scoreless game. And David takes a fastball strike from Josh Johnson. David hitting .359 over his last 10 games at .294 for the year. It's still 5th in the National League in RBIs. But this is a guy who's given him all sorts of trouble. Wright is just 4 for 23 against Josh Johnson. But he drives this one toward the gap in right center field. And Wright's got himself an extra base hit. Can he get 3 out of this? Maben bobbles it on the warning track, and that gives Wright his opening. And David is in sliding with a 3-base hit. 3rd triple of the year for David Wright.
Well, against good pitchers, you've got to take advantage of every mistake. Just a little slider, definitely away, but up in the strike zone. And David does what you have to do against Josh Johnson. Can't try to pull and hit that ball the other way. Once he split the gap here, maybe with great speed, but see, he tries to barehand the baseball. Use the glove, and you have a better chance of making a play.
David Wright, safe at 3rd, safe and secure. New York Life. Here's Ike Davis with the infield back, conceding the run on a grounder. And he takes low as Hayes knocks it down. Ike, over the last 3 games, has shown some signs of life. 5 for 10 in the series against the Pirates.
That's the great thing about Wright is if you watch how he drives this ball, watch the top hand in his wrist, how he takes that bat. Once he makes contact, he flips it right over the baseball. And why is that important? If you stay under the bat, that ends up being a pop-up to right field instead of driving it in the gap.
Always good to see David hitting that ball to right center. Only positive things can happen after that. 3-0 now to Ike Davis. And Johnson throws a fastball for a strike. Josh Johnson has averaged just 2.1 walks per 9 innings, 8.7 strikeouts per 9 innings. Both figures are in the top 10 in the league. But he walks Ike Davis, and the Mets have runners at the corners with nobody out. Here's where the Mets have got to get some production out of the lower part of their order. With Francoeur, Tolle, and Tejada, the 6, 7, and 8 hitters.
I won't say that's a pitch around because a guy of Johnson's quality usually doesn't pitch around Davis, but he has a chance here. So he knows Francoeur's a guy that he can maybe get a punch out with.
Well, Jeff spent the last road trip trying to be a lot more patient. Didn't get a whole lot of results out of it, though. He's 0 for his last 12. And he takes the first pitch, fastball inside. Francoeur with 11 home runs, 49 driven in, hitting just .229. And Johnson falls behind him 2-0.
Well, Chad Fairchild is not going to give him that inside corner. He's got to realize that already. Those are 2 quality pitches by Johnson. Left to go away.
And that's where Hayes moves on 2-0, and Francoeur fouls it back. Let's look at the PPG Pittsburgh Paints overhead camera.
Well, that's something that I think has changed over the course of the year with the hard work that Francoeur had. Right on the dish now. Almost daring the pitcher to throw it inside.
Again, Hayes moving away. And he went around and gives Johnson a break. It's 2-2.
Well, it's a good slider. And he was more patient on the road. Not able to hold back, though, on this good pitch. Problem with moving up closer to the dish, that ball looks like it's almost a strike.
2-2. Hit in the air, foul down the right field side. And into the crowd. Misting rain still falling. 2-2 from Johnson. Pulled foul. And Francoeur centers back in.
That's a good swing there by Jeff. He just missed that. Pitch hanging inside, just a little quick.
Francoeur has excelled getting that runner in from third with less than 2 out this year.
Just stayed inside. Almost a pitch for him to hit.
70% of the time he's gotten that run in. And that misses low on a full count to Francoeur. Well, he's had a lot of these at-bats now over the last week and a half. These 6, 7, 8 pitch at-bats. Now it's a matter of getting something productive out of them. He's Got the table set here, first and third and nobody out.
Well, he's got a big hole between first and second. So if he kind of gets a fastball away, look at that hole for Jeff to hit the ball through.
On 3-2, Frank Gore fouls it back. Another pitch to hit.
Much better swing there, 3-2, right on that baseball. Staying up in the strike zone, trying to go the other way, very much like David Wright.
He's making Johnson work. This will be the 9th pitch of the at-bat upcoming. And he reaches out and flicks it to right field. That'll get the run in. Wright tags at third. Stanton squeezes it. His throw goes to second. Jeff Francoeur brings home the run with a sacrifice fly. And the Mets strike first. It's 1-0 New York.
What a great at-bat there for Francoeur. Kind of bowled his neck. Was not going to be denied. And that's almost the same pitch he chased slider away earlier. It's up with just enough. Able to get enough bat on it, and he's strong enough to get it out there deep enough that Stanton has no play.
50th run batted in for Francoeur. And the Mets give R.A. Dickey a run. Here's Josh Thole with 1 out and 1 on. And Josh takes a strike.
Sometimes you don't have to have both hands on the bat, as that bat almost slips out of the hand of Francoeur as he just flicks it to right field.
Thole went 3 for 8 in the series in Pittsburgh, hitting a .289 on the year. Now anointed the #1 catcher for the Mets with Rod Barajas, gone to L.A. Swinging at that slider at his feet, 1-2.
That's the pitch that they say Johnson has not controlled as well. That pitch down and into left-handed hitters, pitches your fastball in and then turns that ball over. That's the pitch that probably when he had that .79 ERA, he was styling.
Johnson comes into the night with the 3rd best earned run average in the league at 2.27. If R.A. Dickey had enough innings, he'd be 6th in the league. That's what kind of matchup we have tonight. 2-2 to Thole. That's really making Johnson work here in the second inning, something they have not always done in the past. Ruben Tejada on deck. And Thole goes down on the slider for the 2nd out of the inning. 2nd strikeout for Josh Johnson. Tonight's Inside Pitch on Josh Johnson, brought to you by the Xerox Business of Baseball. Xerox, ready for real business.
So Josh has a great angle on his fastball. He's 6'7" tall, and that ball that looks like on a sink usually stays true. He's got a bulldog personality, loves to stay in that ball game, deep in the games. But the last few starts that Gary was talking about, has been struggling to put hitters away, and you see a little bit of that, especially in the Francoeur at bat.
Now Ruben Tejada, 1 hit in his last 38 at bats. And looking to bunt his way on with Helms playing back, but with the pitcher on deck, that's a bad play.
Those are things that maybe 20-year-olds are definitely going to make, and that's something that when he gets to the bench, you'll have to talk to him about, because that's an individual play, and you never want to see that. And what do I mean by that? It's just it's a play where you're trying to get yourself a hit, get out of your doldrums, but it's not the correct play. The correct play is have confidence in yourself, hit a ball down the third base line for a double.
Outfields have taken to playing Ruben very shallow, and the Marlins are no exception. So if he could find a gap, he might get Davis home from first. There's a strike, 2-1.
Slumps will make you do strange things, though, Gary, whether you're pitching or whether you're hitting.
To the shortstop, and Ramirez gets the force play to end the inning. But the Mets cash a run. David Wright with a leadoff triple comes home to give Dickey a 1-0 lead. Furniture now open in Manhattan off the FDR Drive at 117th Street. Go to mybobs.com for details. Hanley Ramirez leads off in the third inning. R.A. Dickey now with a 1-0 lead. And Hanley takes the pitch high. Ramirez led off the game with a base hit to center. Got as far as third base. Now 5 for 9 in his career against R.A. Dickey. And so Dickey changes the program and gets a fastball strike. 1-1. That blowing mist. Look at the radar right now. There's no rain. But there's so much moisture in the air that mist just keeps blowing around. Now, line into left field and a base hit for Ramirez, and he's 2 for 2. Now, this is the one guy in the Marlins order that Dickey just has not been able to get out. Dickey pitched in Atlanta early part of this month. It was a rainy night, and he said it was one of the most difficult nights he's pitched this year.
Well, it happens for him because he throws the knuckleball so hard that it tends to slip out of his fingers. And what does he do to try to combat that? He will try to change the baseball often. He'll take his time, make sure it's dry.
Ramirez runs first pitch. Toley's throw is high, and Ramirez has his second stolen base of the night, his 25th of the year.
Well, coming in to this game, Josh Toley was 6 for 13. But Hanley Ramirez, outstanding base runner, picked the first pitch to run on. Not even close.
That's 8 stolen bases against Dickey now in 11 tries.
When I watch Ramirez play in New York, it's almost like he's taken his mission. I know I play in Florida. I know I don't get all the press. And it's his mission to almost prove that he's the best shortstop between him and Reyes.
Morrison lines one into right field for a base hit. Ramirez being waved around. Here comes the throw by Frank Court. Ramirez wisely goes back to third base. That's a player overruling his coach. Joe Espada was sending Ramirez, but he knew better.
Well, Espada at third base for the first time this year, and a bullet off the bat of Morrison. And even though it was deep, you know what arm that Frank Court has. The problem here is with Ramirez not running, Frank Court overthrows the cutoff man Davis. And we talked about what a bulldog Morrison is. He takes advantage. And you're right, Gary. Ramirez made the call, not Espada.
Smart play because, you know, Frank Court would have had him. Second and third and nobody out, and a fly ball hit to right by Gabby Sanchez. That'll get Ramirez in. It'll also get Morrison over to third base, and the Marlins have tied the game on a sacrifice fly by Gabby Sanchez. It's 1-1. 63rd run batted in for Sanchez, the rookie, the most among National League rookies.
Well, even when Sanchez is not getting a hit against the Mets, he's doing damage. That ball more in the middle of the plate. Does a nice job of driving the ball the other way. No chance for Frank Court as both runners move up. Ramirez to score. And Morrison, to tell you the truth, by my naked eye, looked like he left early, but maybe not.
So now with the go-ahead run at 3rd and 1 out, and Josh Johnson on the other side, Jerry Manuel will play the infield in against Ugla, who lines one to center to Beltran. Tagging at third is Morrison and heading home, and the throw comes in too late. And the Marlins grab the lead, a sacrifice fly by Ugla, and it's 2-1 Florida.
Boy, interesting. The Marlins have been kind of trying to jump on that first pitch. A little off the end of the bat from Ugla. Beltran coming in had plenty of time to get something on this throw, but got too much air underneath it. And Morrison and Ramirez, beautiful base running. Goes back and tag. Usually you have a lot of rookies on a line drive. They will be in between. He was not.
So the entire inning really was set up by the stolen base to Ramirez. You take that away, and the inning would have developed much differently. With Ramirez at second, forcing the throw from Frank Court, which allowed Morrison to get to second, and then both runners able to move on the first fly ball. And Morrison scoring on Uglas.
Kind of a picture-perfect base running inning for the Marlins, something you don't always see. More of a power team.
Stanton lines one the other way. And Tejada with a beautiful diving grab to end the inning. Skidding on the wet grass.
Ruben Tejada takes a base hit away from Mike Stanton. 2-1 Florida. Loses. We'll have an inside look at the latest news out of Jets and Giants camp as they debate the Hot 9 New York sports topics of the day in the Wheelhouse, presented by Pepsi, part of the New York Sports Local, tomorrow at 5:30 on SNY. All right, Dickey will lead off for the Mets in the home third, now down 2-1. And R.A. takes outside from Josh Johnson, 1-0. In his last start in Houston, R.A. Dickey drove in a run with a seventh-inning double that snapped a scoreless tie. It was the first time that a Met pitcher had a go-ahead RBI in the seventh inning or later in 11 years.
Wow.
Dan Uggla throws out Dickey for the first out. The last time it happened was August of 1999 in the 13th inning of a game at Wrigley Field. Pat Mahomes, who was a pretty good hitting pitcher, got a base hit to put the Mets in front of the game. But a lot more unusual, I guess, for a starting pitcher to do that. You know, extra inning game, you're out of bench players. And
that's right.
You need your pitchers to bat in those spots. One out, and Reyes the batter. Denied a base hit on an awkward diving catch by Maben his first time up. Even Reyes' outs have been hard lately. He has just been swinging a very consistently hot bat. Into shallow center, and Maben is coming in. 2 out. So Johnson, after being handed the lead for the first time, gets a couple of quick outs. After facing Josh Johnson for the third time this year, he didn't pitch well opening day, and Johan Santana beat him. Then he pitched a gem against the Mets down in Florida on the 13th of May, beating the Mets 2-1.
Remember, he came out of spring training with the flu and missed his work towards the end of spring training.
Well, that's the only time the Mets have ever beaten him, was that opening day game here. Pagan thinking about a bunt, takes a strike. Angel popped up his first time up.
Very interesting talking to Johnson about feeling his baseball mortality when he got the Tommy John surgery and taking the game more seriously, working out consistently for the first time. He said all of those things made him a better pitcher.
Scooted to short, and Ramirez with a running throw, not in time. Pagan beat it out. Oh, a lot of spin on it coming off the bat.
Nothing Ramirez could do in this situation. Played a perfectly strong throw. The quickness of Pagan really made that no contest.
sprinting out of the box as he always does and going hard. And that's gotten him any number of hits this year. So a 2-out base runner with Beltran at the plate. Pagan with 30 stolen bases this year, a career high. And Beltran fouls the first one back. Carlos struck out on 3 pitches his first time up. "13 stolen bases against Johnson this year in 20 tries. They have untested guys behind the plate in this series for the Marlins. Hayes has thrown out 5 out of 16. Pagan runs. Hayes with a chance, but the ball rolled around in his hand and goes into center field. Pagan wisely stays at second base as Maben backed it up nicely.
Well, the hardest thing to teach young catchers is that when they don't have the grip on it, put it in your back pocket. And he did not have the grip and made a poor throw. But that's what happens with younger players. They want to, make a play.
Number 31 for Angel Pagan, so the tying run in scoring position with 2 out. Mets' 112th stolen base of the year, the most in the National League. Michael Bourne has more stolen bases in the league than Angel Pagan. And Beltran takes high, and so Johnson behind him, 3-1 with David Wright on deck.
Well, you would think with Wright in his last at bat that Carlos should get 2 fastballs here, or at least 1 here at 3-1.
Hayes working outside, and it misses badly for ball 4. So Johnson walks Beltran, his second walk, and the Mets have 2 men on for Wright. So after getting 2 very quick outs, Johnson gives up the infield single to Pagan, the stolen base, and now the walk. And David Wright, who tripled to right center and scored the Mets run in the second inning, comes up with 2 men on.
Well, Gary, the one thing I can see about Johnson that we have not seen when he pitches is that he used to always put his stamp early on in a game that he is going to throw strikes with his fastball early and often, inside and outside, and he's been wild with his fastball.
So a big spot for Wright with 2 out and 2 on, and David takes inside. David with 81 runs batted in, 5th in the National League. Hit hard and right by Helms and into left field. That'll get Pagan home with the tying run. 2-2. David Wright just hitting a bullet that ate up Wes Helms. It'll be scored in air. But what a shot.
Well, you saw Helms point to his chest. What happened there, you do not see this very often with major league infielders. The ball just ate him up. It beat him to the spot, and he didn't want to get down and dirty in front of that baseball. Just hit too hard off the bat of David Wright.
5th error of the year for Wes Helms. No RBI for Wright, but that's as hard as you can hit a ball. So David with 2 shots tonight off Josh Johnson, and the Mets have gotten back even. Now Ike Davis with 2 out and 2 on. Ike walked his first time up. And Johnson a little bit off right now. The Mets trying to cash in. Mets have seen Johnson so often when he has been absolutely on his A game. Changeup misses, and it's 2-0. That'll get Brett Hayes to bring it back out to the mound.
I think he looks to me like he's trying to master all 3 of his pitches: fastball, changeup, slider. He's been unable to master any of those. I think the best game I ever saw him pitch was in Florida against Santana. It took those two pitchers about 2 hours and 4 minutes to complete that game. It's always remembered as the game Murph dropped the ball in left field, but should be remembered for the fine pitching by Johnson that day.
Jeff Francoeur, who drove in the first Met run, is on deck. 2-0 now to Davis. And Ike takes it wide, and it's 3-0. It's not often you see Johnson struggling with the command of his fastball like this.
It's almost like he's trying to be perfect with that fastball. He throws 95 miles an hour. If he just keeps it down in the zone, it's awful tough to hit.
Here's a strike, 3-1. Ike with 15 home runs, 56 driven in. Now the 3-1. And there's a knee-high strike, 3-2.
That's the fastball we usually see from Johnson.
That's why he's given up only 7 home runs all season. His last start, he gave up 2 home runs, which is as many as he'd given up in his previous 17 starts combined. Runners go, and the 3-2 in there for a call, strike 3. So Ike got ahead 3-0 and took 3 fastballs for 3 strikes. Third strikeout for Johnson. The Mets get even, though. David Wright's bullet eats up. Dickey on the mound. Meanwhile, a discussion ongoing between the Marlins manager Edwin Rodriguez and the crew chief Mike Riley, the second base umpire.
But if I'm the starting pitcher, I'm not that happy with that. Get on the bench. Second base umpire, get on second. I'm ready to work. Let's go.
Rodriguez was out for a long time while Dickey was warming up, talking to the home plate umpire Chad Fairchild. And I'm not sure what the subject matter was, but it sure took a lot of conversation. Wes Helms leads off in the 4th inning in a 2-2 game and takes a knuckleball for a strike. Helms' error contributed the Met run in the last of the 3rd. Helms had a base hit to right field his first time up. Marlins have been very aggressive against Dickey, particularly in that 3rd inning. They put together a couple of hits and a stolen base and then sacrificed flies on consecutive pitches. Swing and a miss. And Dickey has his 5th strikeout of the night, as Helms has retired on 3 pitches.
Watch this grip by R.A. Dickey. Pinched into the ball and kind of like just pushed forward. And that same kind of action he's had all day. Starts on the outside part and moves off the plate.
Looks like that one almost has a little more rotation and acts almost like a slider, doesn't it?
It's like a knuckle slider. That's what it looks like.
So 1 out. Here's Cameron Maben, who had a base hit to left his first time up. With Maben recalled today and in the starting lineup for the Marlins, along with Logan Morrison and Mike Stanton, the Marlins have a starting outfield of 3 players, all of whom are 23 or younger. It's the first time that any major league outfield has had 3 guys that young since the Rays back in '04 had Carl Crawford, Rocco Baldelli, and Joey Gathright, all 23 and younger.
Remember Rocco, of course. The next Joe DiMaggio at some point.
Yeah.
War number 5. Of course, he just awfully went through some tough health issues.
He's trying to play again. He's down to the minor leagues and hoping to get a September call-up this year. Baldelli, an outrageously popular player when he first started.
And a great guy. Played hard.
One-two to Maben. Punch to the right side and pass to Hada. A base hit. So Maben in his return to the major leagues is 2 for 2. PPG Pittsburgh paint overhead camera.
Surprised that more teams don't, against the knuckleball, try to go the other way or up the middle or other way, because I think that gets you not out in front, makes you stay on the baseball. But still, it's hard to have any real attack against the knuckleball. You just see it and hope.
Now the catcher Brett Hayes, who grounded out to Tejada his first time up. Maben's got speed, 6 steals and 7 tries this year. And that one gets by Tolle, and it'll move Maben down to second base. Not sure he ever touched this ball.
Yeah, he might not have got any leather on this one. Maybe a tiny bit.
Second wild pitch of the game charged to Dickey. And so a runner in scoring position for the Marlins with the 8-hitter at the plate. Guy hitting under 200 in Hayes. Hayes out of the University of Nevada, number 2 pick by the Marlins in '05.
You're at University of Nevada. It's Reno, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
They used to call it Nevada.
That's
Reno.
right.
That's where Ryan Church went. Josh Johnson on deck. Dickey behind 2-0, throws the fastball, and it's down at the knees for a strike. 1-2. 2-1, excuse me. And Hayes grounds one down to third. Wright can hold Maben and throws out Hayes for the second out. So 2 out in the inning, and Johnson will come to the plate. Johnson came up with 2 in scoring position in the second inning and took a call third strike from Dickey. It's hard enough to hit if you're a pitcher, but when you're 6'7", you got a big strike zone.
remember facing Phil Niekro a couple times. I mean, you got no shot, really. You know, I mean, it's just so foreign. And they're not going to take it easy on you.
Slow ground ball for Tejada. And that'll do it for the Marlins at the top of the fourth. A hit and one left. That's come up at the bottom of the fourth with Francoeur to lead off, tied at 2. Fielder, stop by a location near you. Subway, a proud sponsor of the New York Mets on SNY. Eat fresh. Check out your AT&T trivia question for tonight. Whom did Dan Uggla pass on July 31st to become the Marlins' all-time home run leader?
That's a good question, because he only has about, what? Only. That's about 150 or something?
149,
okay.
Yeah. The guy he passed at 143. The thing about the Marlins franchise since they began in 1993, not too many guys have stayed there for very long because, you know, when they had their championship team in 97, they broke it up. When they had their championship team in 03, they broke up part of it. Jeff Francoeur bounces one foul. I mean, the guy who was a Marlin for the longest was Jeff Conine.
That was going to be my guess.
But he's not the answer.
But he wasn't always there.
And he wasn't a home run hitter,
yeah,
really.
You're right.
Francoeur drove in the first Met run with a sac fly, and Johnson gets ahead of him 0-2. Tolle and Tejada to follow for the Mets here in the fourth. I happen to know the answer.
You do?
Yeah, I read it earlier today.
Oh, nice.
It's not like I do it off the top of my head. Francoeur gets buzzed, and it's 1-2. Numbers have not been pretty for Jeff since the All-Star break. Playing time has diminished on a couple of fronts, and what do we have now?
Boy, it's interesting what Edwin Rodriguez is here, because you can't argue balls and strikes. I don't know if he's asking to get some help from the first baseman on that check swing. Or maybe did he hear a tick? He thought that Francoeur might have made contact, and he did. Francoeur made contact with that ball, jumped into the glove. Watch this. Bang, right up the end of the bat into the glove.
1-2 from Johnson. It's too high.
Watch it now, guys, at home. Hits the bat and it goes the other way into the glove.
You're right. I guess he had a case. And none of the umpires detected it. You would think on sound.
Yeah, alone.
Be able to.
And Brett Hayes, being a young catcher, didn't say a word.
2-2 to Jeff. Slow ground ball, and Ramirez charges. 1 out. Francoeur unable to take advantage of the second chance. And here's Tolle, who struck out his first time. For more on Josh Tolle, let's check in with Kevin Burkhardt. Kevin?
Was wondering today, guys, whether, going forward in the future, if Josh Tolle could be a number 2 hitter in this Mets order with the way he has good at bats and seems to put the ball in play a lot. He struck out 20 times on 151 career plate appearances. I should say career at bats. And I asked Jerry about that today. He said, well, I definitely think he can do it, but I think with Reyes and Pagan, I really tend to like that 1 and 2. And with that means that Tolle becomes a 6 or 7 hitter. He said the one thing I think too is that over time I do think he can develop some pop. He said right now I love the fact that he goes the other field. I think that's a good thing. I think in Major League Baseball you want to come up and establish yourself as a hitter, but I think he can have full power. That's the home run in Arizona. He could have power like that a little bit more often as he gets better overall and more comfortable overall as a hitter. Guys, what do you think about that? Josh as a 2 hitter?
Well, I think he's shown some signs of being a contact hitter, although he's been striking out a little more the last few days.
Well, I think for the Mets, if you look at where their hitters have gone, and yes, Pagan has slowed down after Beltran has come back, but Reyes has been playing great. Great baseball. You look at his stats. It's really the middle of the order has been the problem. So the top of the order has been nice.
Morrison catches Tolle's line drive for the second out.
And I think Tolle does get the bat on the ball. You'd have to, though, be a team that likes to hit and run a little more, maybe. I think you'd have to be, and he will stall a little bit with the speed on the bases.
Yeah, you'd like to have somebody who runs a little better, ideally in that number 2 spot. Although that isn't, it isn't always the case.
Yeah, I think Josh is a really good base runner, by the way, but he doesn't, of course, have that flat-out speed that Reyes and Pagan do.
Well, much like a guy like Polanco, who's a terrific number 2 hitter, but not a speedster. As Tejada yanks one foul.
I was thinking in the day, remember Jay Bell used to hit in the second slot a lot for the Pittsburgh Pirates and used to push bunts and sacrifice, do a lot of little things.
And there certainly is precedent for catchers hitting second. Remember in 06, the Mets had Paul LaDuca hitting second most of that year. Inside, and Tejada's hit by a pitch. It's the last thing in the world you would think Johnson would want to do.
Well, it's interesting. The first pitch was inside. Tejada pulled it foul. So I think what Johnson was thinking, let me get inside just a little bit more. It came off that baseball and got Tejada right in the sleeve.
Fifth batter that Johnson has hit this year. That clears the pitcher spot here in the 4th. Dickey grounds it out to second base his first trip. And a good stop by Hayes on the backhand, 1-0. And now Johnson behind 2-0. Philadelphia tonight. Bud Norris, who looked good against the Mets last week, is shutting out the Phillies through 4 innings. The Astros up 2-0 after they beat the Phillies last night. Did you see what happened with Jason Worth?
Yeah.
Got picked off second base on an intentional walk.
I don't know. He must be counting the next contract when he gets on the bases or something.
That's what, the 6th or 7th time this year he's gotten picked off at second base.
And we've always talked about what a great base runner he was coming up to this year.
And Dickey takes it wide, and Johnson behind 3-0. So Johnson has already walked 2 and hit a batter, which is unusual for him this early in a game. Got to ask your pitcher to take a strike here, right?
Yes, absolutely. You want to get Reyes up.
And there's ball 4. So Dickey's on with a walk. Third one given up by Johnson, and Reyes will bat with 2 men on. On the last inning, Johnson retired the first 2, then gave up an infield hit, a walk, and then the error that played at the tying run. He retired the first 2 here in the 4th, but now he's gotten in 2-out trouble. Reyes 0 for 2. Both times has hit the ball to the center fielder. Reyes has driven in 44 runs this year. And Jose takes it down for ball one. Staying with the off-speed stuff, and it's 1-1.
Well, maybe not a bad idea. He can't get his fastball over the way he usually can. Change it up a little bit.
Johnson's already thrown 76 pitches working in the fourth inning. 3 straight 20-pitch innings. 1-1 to Reyes. Bouncing ball, and Ramirez is in. And the forced play ends the inning. So the Mets leave 2, 4 in the books now at Citi Field. The Mets and Marlins locked up at 2. Broadcast team, that's right, us. You and a guest could have dinner with us, then catch the Mets-Pirates game in an SNY suite at Citi Field Wednesday, September 15th. All proceeds benefit the high school basketball team scheduled to play in the SNY Invitational in 2011. Just go to sny.tv/charity auction and bid today. By the way, Kevin will be there too.
He will?
Yeah, because he's a much better attraction, I think, for some folks than us old folks. By the way, first time I've seen you since Milestone last Thursday.
Yeah, it wasn't much of a milestone, but I have joined you guys in the booth. Now we're all in our 50s, so that's
happy
good.
birthday, Ron.
Thank you.
Belated though it may be. Hanley Ramirez leads off the 5th inning and swings and misses, 0-1. Well, there he is, the newly minted 50-year-old Ron Darling.
Unbelievable, right? It goes very quickly, folks. You know that, some of you out there. But nice, quiet time in Montauk. It was a beautiful couple of days. So I missed you guys in Houston, Pittsburgh, but it was a nice little respite.
I don't think you really missed us that much. Let's be honest. Ramirez pops one up. Reyes looking through the raindrops and chasing him through the wind. One away. So Ramirez retired for the first time. Here's my big question.
Yeah.
Have you joined AARP?
No, I haven't joined them yet. I was contemplating starting to get my pension from Major League Baseball. And
you can get that at 50, huh?
35.
What a union.
What a union, right?
The most successful union in the history of the world,
so
right?
So true.
Here's Logan Morrison.
Well, one of the best presents I got was from you and Lynn. And I know Lynn is responsible for these kind of things, but 100%. She has that creative gene. But she got a bunch of golf balls that have my initials on it with 50. And the next time I play, my friends are going to have a big hoot when I hand those out. So they're all going to hit off the first tee.
Try not to lose them.
That's right.
Morrison 1 for 2, singled and scored in the third inning. Marlins have 6 hits, the Mets just 2. And that knuckleball sails away 2-0.
Well, look at Ramirez over the top of the mound, pulling a, who was it? A-Rod, right? Earlier this season with Dallas Braden.
Well, does that mean that R.A. Dickey's going to throw a perfect game one of these days?
There you go. Why not? He's throwing a one-hitter.
I guess Hanley hadn't read that unwritten rule. Swing and a miss at a good slow knuckleball. Now, you know, you were a pitcher.
Yeah.
I know you have a feeling of domain over that pitcher's mound. Would that bother you?
Guys would not do that in that day, Gary. They just wouldn't do it. And I know that it's going to be some younger players who are going to go, well, what is he talking about? You just would not do it. It's another strikeout for Dickey.
6 Ks for R.A.
It was just one of those things, you know, you talk about an unwritten rule. It was pitchers. Well, I'll tell you how crazy pitchers are. You know when the people come out to throw the first pitch? It used to bother me a little when they used to get on the mound, too. Throw from the grass. You probably can't reach anyway from back here. Move up a little bit. Throw that weak toss in there. Take a picture with the catcher. Let's get to work.
Gabby Sanchez with 2 out.
But I think those things have changed because, you know, everyone changes teams. Guys before the games spend a lot of time, you know, talking to each other. Things that, you know, didn't happen in the day.
Out to right field, fairly deep. Frank Core back, and it's over his head and off the base of the wall. Sanchez digging for second, and then with a 2-out double. Impressive opposite field shot by Gabby Sanchez for his 32nd double of the year.
Well, you can see why he's leading National League rookies, not only in doubles, but also in hits. He's had a sacrifice fly to right field, and again, a ball over the middle of the plate. Seems to have a great idea of going the other way against R.A. Dickey tonight, and outstanding hitting with tons of power.
Got a fastball to hit there on 1-0 and took advantage of it. So now the go-ahead run in scoring position for Uggla, who drove in a run with a sac fly his last time, and hits the first pitch knuckleball down to David Wright. David steadies and just got him at first base. Uggla hustling all the way, and David didn't have a lot on that throw. But Dickey gets through the inning. A double and 1 left. Looking took a lead against Josh Johnson in the second. The Marlins scratched out a couple against Dickey. The Mets responded, and we're 2-2 as we go to the bottom of the fifth. Dickey has struck out 6 over the first 5 innings. Mets will have 2, 3, and 4 in the order coming up in the home fifth against Johnson, who's already thrown 77 pitches over 4 innings. And Angel Pagan rips one into center field for his second hit of the night. Maben can't cut it off, and it rolls to the wall. Pagan turns second and heads on for third. Well, Cameron Maben just back to the major leagues, has a couple of hits tonight, but that's a big gap in a tie game.
When you have a wet field, sometimes you have to take a different angle to make sure you give yourself more room if the ball skids. And on this changeup by Pagan, that is what happened. It skidded, and Pagan, of course, turns it on. Easy triple, or single with an error.
It'll be a single for Pagan, an error on Maben. Now Carlos Beltran will try and get the run in.
Watch it skip, and just stays under the glove. You have to take that angle back so you can get it on the larger hop.
Middle infielders are back, conceding the go-ahead run with nobody out. Beltran walked his last time up after striking out in the first inning. Line over short, and that'll get the Mets the lead. Pagan comes in to score. Carlos Beltran with an RBI single. 3-2 New York.
Nice hitting by Carlos. 2-0 pitch, changeup, able to just swat it into left field. And Logan Morrison, the inexperienced left fielder, able to just get a glove on it. Able to cover that whole plate. Pitcher's pitch, but still gets an RBI.
13th run batted in for Beltran, and the Mets have their second lead of the night against Josh Johnson, so they take advantage of the Maben error. And now David Wright has hit 2 balls very hard tonight, with Beltran at first and nobody out.
ILTV pitch differential. It's a good pitcher's pitch. Threw it to the glove and even below where the target was. Problem is that he blew Beltran away in the first at bat with just fastballs, and that changed up more to Carlos's liking.
Burke Badenhop up in the Marlins bullpen. And Wright takes a good hit, good rip, and fouls it back 0-2. David drove a triple to right center his first time up and scored a run, and then with 2 out and 2 on in the third, hit a bullet to third base that ate up Wes Helms, who was charged with an error that brought home the tying run. Now the Mets have regained the lead. Beltran has yet to steal a base. He's only tried one. I think that was his first game, wasn't it?
Yes.
Where he got thrown out. Even when he was at his best, Carlos, while he was a good base stealer and a high percentage one, was very selective. Would really only run when he knew he could make it. 1-2 from Johnson, and Wright lays off the slider away. First base umpire Todd Tichenor confirms that, and it's 2-2.
Well, not even close here. Nice by David holding that bat back. Good slider by Johnson.
In the month of August, just 2 for 27 with runners on base. Trying to change that on 2-2. First Johnson checks in on Beltran. Johnson's already thrown 85 pitches now with nobody out of the fifth. And that's why they've got Badenhop up in the bullpen. You see Beltran 88%, just off the charts for his career. For a long time was the career percentage leader.
David drives one in the left center for a base hit. Beltran turns second. He'll go on to third as Maben plays it deep. David Wright with his third hard hit ball tonight, his second base hit. And the Mets looking for more here in the fifth against Johnson.
Well, the middle of the lineup is going to have to make it work if they're going to score runs. And doing a nice job of it tonight is David Wright. 3 hard hit balls, 2 hits. The Mets have something brewing here in the fifth. Beltran, as soon as he gets a second, knows he's going to make third pretty easily.
So David Wright, who has had trouble putting together quality at-bats against top-flight pitching, has certainly done that tonight against Josh Johnson. Now Ike Davis first and third and nobody out. And Ike takes low and in, and Hayes has to go down to grab it. 1-0. Now the pitching coach, Randy St. Clair, makes his way out toward the mound. This is not a trip he needs to make often when Josh Johnson's on the hill.
Had a good time to make it because you can tell that the big fella is frustrated. He's not in command of his pitches. Good time for Randy St. Clair to kind of calm him down, get a game plan on what they're going to do against Ike Davis, or Mr. Batenhop's going to be in the game.
Now the Mets beat Josh Johnson for the first time on opening day this year. He's 7-1 lifetime against them. But the Mets for the second time tonight have taken the lead against Johnson and a chance for a whole lot more. Davis has walked and struck out 0 for 1. And Ike knocks the mask right off Brett Hayes.
That was called a double mask right there. Mr. Karen takes Hayes' mask off and gets a little bit of Chad Fairchild.
It's not very safe back there.
Jeez. None the worse for wear, though, Mr. Hayes.
Right, not full, right on the bag. Good grip by Davis. 1-2. Beltran at third. He singled in the go-ahead run right at first. 3 straight hits for the Mets to start this 5th inning, and they've all been well struck. Middle infielder staying back, hoping to get a double play and willing to concede a run to get it. Despite already being down by a run in the 5th. One-two. That's on the outside corner. Strike 3 call. Davis certainly didn't think so. But Chad Fairchild judged that pitch to have caught the corner. PPG Pittsburgh Paints overhead camera says maybe not.
No, it looks like it's right on that line. It's that backdoor slider that hitters give up on, and I think Ike has a reason to have an argument.
Second time Ike's been called out on strikes tonight, so now 1 out of the inning for Francoeur, who has a sacrifice fly and a ground out 0 for 1. And he hits it over the bag, but just foul. As Beltran has to execute evasive action.
Heads up when you're on those bases. You never know. Pick up the hitter. Look at Chip Hale's like, you all right?
I'm not sure throwing your hands up is something you want to be doing.
Oh, think about it. It's, you never know what you're going to do, whatever you can to get out of the way.
Was it last year in spring training when Carlos Delgado got hit by that broken bat while he was a runner at third?
I believe cut his arm.
Yeah.
To have some stitches in the forearm in spring training.
0-1 to Francoeur. In the air to center field, not all that deep. Beltran tagging, may have been catching. He's not going to try it. Beltran will come in to score. Sacrifice fly for Francoeur. He's second of the night. And it's 4-2 New York. 51st RBI for Frank Gore and the 4th sacrifice fly in this game. 2 for each side.
Well, you do have to say you have to love the bats by Frenchie in this game. Ball's in. He's able to stay inside the baseball just enough to get the head of the bat on that ball. Hit it really on the label. Shows you how strong that Jeff can be.
So the Mets with 2 runs home in the 5th, driven in by Beltran and Frank Gore. Wright is still at first with 2 out. Tolley the batter, and we'll see if David tries to swipe one here.
You know, guys, interesting, right? I mean, Chris Carter got a couple starts in Pittsburgh, and here you have a powerful right-hander on the mound, thinking that maybe Carter in the lineup again. And Jerry said important to get Jeff Frank Gore going, especially the way he's been having that approach at the plate, paying off so far.
Tolley takes one the other way. That's a base hit. It'll go all the way to the corner. Wright on his way to third. Morrison gets over to grab it. And so Wright will have to stop at third base. Josh Tolley with an opposite field double. And the Mets have their 4th hit in the inning.
It's nice hitting by Josh. I think he's at his best when he is using all fields and especially left field. Fastball away. Hit it that way. That was really a fine play by Morrison with the hustle. He does not get that ball before it gets to the wall. Wright scores.
So let's see how they pitch to Ruben Tejada here. You've got a guy who's 1 for his last 39, but first base is open and the pitcher on deck, so they're going to walk him intentionally. Too many guys who are 1 for their last 39 get an intentional pass.
I've always thought to myself, Gary, that this to me is, and I don't care what manager is doing it, this is a I don't want to be second guessed later move by managers. To me, that's what it is.
It's a play that we never saw until about 15 or 20 years ago. I remember the first time I saw any manager do it was when Jeff Torborg came over to manage the Mets in the early 90s. I had never seen this done before. The routine walking of the 8-hitter with first base open.
Yeah, you would always think as a pitcher you can get that guy out and preserve you for the next inning, but maybe the thought is here with a 4-2 and 98 pitches by Johnson, this might be his last hitter anyways. He's not going to continue in the game. Just keep the Marlins close.
So R.A. Dickey, who had an RBI double in his last start in Houston, has a chance here with the bases loaded and 2 out to add to his lead. Up 4-2 in the 5th. And Dickey slashes one foul into the camera well.
Well, what makes R.A. Dickey dangerous is that he has a bat in his hand. He thinks he can hit a little bit, and he usually makes contact.
0 for 1 tonight, a ground out and a walk. Johnson now at 100 pitches for the night. And Dickey trying to hang in there against that 96-mile-an-hour fastball. 1-2. Been a heavy slog for Josh Johnson tonight after an easy first inning. Nothing else has been easy. 1-2. Slow ground ball for Uggla. And the Mets lead 3, but they score 2 against Johnson in the 5th.
ballpark. And Mike Stanton, the young rookie for Florida with 14 home runs, will lead it off in this inning. And I asked Edwin Rodriguez, the Marlins manager, give me an idea how strong Mike Stanton is. I mean, if you look at him, he's got this incredible physique, so strong and so muscular. And he said, well, I've got one for you. In Arizona this year, a play that I never really saw before. He hit a ball so hard that Mark Reynolds dove to his left, couldn't get it. The left fielder dove to his right and couldn't get it, and it went to the wall. Basically a hard couple hop, line drive, ground ball hybrid that two guys dove for, and it went to the wall. So I think that's a pretty good idea. Guys, back up to you.
Very strong young man. One of a great crop of young players that all of a sudden has found its way into the National League East.
It's going to be fun to watch some of these players down the stretch, right? The Strasburgs, the Stantons, Ike Davis.
I don't know if we're going to see Strasburg anymore.
Exactly. Hayward.
Bouncing ball for Reyes. Takes his time and guns down Stanton one away. Let's check in with the studio. Chris Carlin is standing by with the New York State Smokers Quit Line game break. Cole Hamels somehow is only 7-10 this year. How's that possible? Wes Helms lifts one to shallow right. Out goes Tejada to reel it in. Tejada got a great jump on that ball going back. Made a tough play look easy.
Well, that's the thing about Tejada is that he just has amazing range, young legs, can make difficult plays look very easy.
So 2 quick outs for R.A. Dickey after being handed the lead. And now Cameron Maybin, whose error opened the door for the Mets in that last half inning. 2 for 2 at the plate tonight. Single to left, single to right.
You know, Kevin doing that report on Stanton and hitting the ball to the left of Reynolds with the dive and the right of the left fielder with the dive. There's always those kind of stories that you never know they're always true. Remember the World Series? Dodgers against the New York Yankees, and apparently Frank Howard hit a ball that Tony Kubek jumped for. Mickey Mantle ran for, and it went against the wall, bounced back into play. That had to be some kind of line drive by the big fella.
I can believe that.
I can too.
Big, strong man. I don't know if there's ever been a stronger player in Major League Baseball than Hondo. 2-1 to Maybin. And the knuckleball dents the outside corner. 2-2. What I don't understand in this at bat is you get to 2-0, you get a 2-0 fastball. How can you not be jumping on that?
Well, he's had 2 hits off the knuckleball. Maybe he's sitting on that.
Yeah. And a fastball gets him looking. And maybe he was looking for the knuckleball. 7 strikeouts for R.A. Dickey, 1 shy of his career high. Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea. The 1997 Florida Marlins World Series team included 11 former or future New York Mets, including the World Series MVP that year, Levan Hernandez.
Wow.
Josh Johnson is done for the night after 5 innings. Brian Sanchez will take over the pitching for Florida.
I've seen Sanchez's line this season. 46 games. He's been very valuable for them. Rubber arm, can throw every day. Only 19 walks in those 44 innings.
And can get lefties and righties out. Johnson threw 102 pitches over 5 innings, allowed 6 hits, 4 runs, 3 of them earned. He walked 4, 1 intentionally, struck out 4, hit a batter. His ERA goes up from 2.27 to 2.36. But more importantly for the Mets, they have a chance to beat Johnson for the second time this year. And for a Mets team that 15 times in their last 20 games has scored 3 runs or less, they put up 4 against one of the best pitchers in baseball tonight.
It's like a bushel.
Reyes up for the 4th time. He's 0 for 3 in this game. It'll be Reyes, Pagan, and Beltran up against Brian Sanchez. And Reyes drops down the bunt, challenging the rookie catcher. Hayes guns him down.
Boy, Hayes showed a lot of quickness there and a strong arm. Literally, this bunt had to be 3 more feet. Needed to get it on the grass, and he had a shot. But still a fine play by Brett Hayes.
Reyes had a bunt single in Sunday's game against the Pirates with the catcher Ryan Doman, who's a little defensively challenged.
He can rake, though, can he?
Yes, he can. Here's Pagan, who's 2 for 3 tonight and has scored a pair of runs. Had an infield single in the 3rd, and then a single to center, which may have been messed up for an error that landed Pagan at 3rd. That was in the 5th.
You know, Gary, we were talking about the Mets offense today with the 4 runs, but it's been really good at bats that have taken a real strong pitcher out of the game in the 5th inning.
Pagan hits one deep to center field. Back goes Maben to the track near the wall, and it's off the fence. Pagan to second, and he pulls in with a double. 3rd hit of the night for Angel Pagan, and the most impressive of the 3.
Well, after a changeup away, Sanchez came back with another changeup, stayed back just enough. And Maben, who plays pretty shallow, beaten on this ball, and one hops the wall.
25th double of the year for Pagan. So Angel, who has had a struggle for the last few weeks, comes home to Citi Field and has had himself a big night. Now Beltran, who drove in the go-ahead run with a base hit in the 5th. 1 for 2 and a walk tonight.
Like the hit to Beltran, IOTV pitch differential, sometimes the ball can be even down from where the zone is, but this one caught more in the middle of the plate.
That's now with 7 hits in the game. And Sanchez has got to be a little more aware of Pagan, who's getting a pretty healthy lead off second base.
Oh, really? It's Hanley Ramirez's job to keep Pagan close. So far has fallen a little bit asleep out there at shortstop. He's got to be a little closer and threaten Pagan.
Two and 1 to Beltran with David Wright on deck. Well, the Mets have thrived in their home ballpark. They're 36 and 22 at home. And with time starting to run out on their chances this year, this is a huge week for them. 3 with Florida, 3 with Houston. This would be a huge game to get in their pocket going up against their nemesis Josh Johnson and getting him out after 5 innings. One interesting thing that happened today, the Mets had, coming out of Sunday's game, felt as though they were going to go with a short rotation this week and skip Pat Mish, but the decision was made to put Mish back in, and he's going to pitch against the Marlins tomorrow night. Good changeup by Sanchez, which makes the Mets' task a little more difficult, not because Mish hasn't pitched well, but because this Marlins team is so right-hand hitting dominant that anytime you throw lefties against them, you're kind of asking for trouble.
And they have dominated lefties this season, unlike past seasons. But Pat Mish has his only big league shutout against the Florida Marlins last season.
Last week of the season last year. 2-2 to Beltran, up and in, 3-2. So it'll be Mish tomorrow night and Nice on Thursday night. You don't worry about who Nice faces, lefties or righties. He's been so fantastic.
And the other reason, I think, because of the added day for some of these pitchers, is that they have been going, especially the starters, deep into games. These are the probable starters next 2 nights. They have been going deep into games, and maybe give them a little respite here until they have to go every 5th day.
There's ball 4, and Beltran's on for the 3rd straight time. So after the double by Pagan, the walk to Beltran. And the Mets with a chance to add some more with David Wright coming up. So the probables there for the Marlins. Alex Sanabia pitching tomorrow night. We saw him in Puerto Rico, and he was struggling down there, but he's had a few starts now for the Marlins and look good. And Anibal Sanchez, who goes on Thursday night, probably has been the best pitcher of late for Florida.
Yeah, he's turned it around. He had a little speed bump also, but now they say he is throwing lots more strikes.
So here's David Wright, who's 2 for 3, has hit the ball very hard 3 times in a row. Triple to right center. Reached on the air by Helms on a very hard hit ball, and then singled into left center. So the Mets offense looking rather rejuvenated tonight. They had the 2 good games at Pittsburgh Friday and Saturday before being held to 1 run on Sunday in Pittsburgh. And a good off-speed pitch. 1-1 to right.
Kind of a split finger fastball there by Sanchez.
Pagan and Beltran, the base runners, with 1 out.
Interesting now, it's Uggla's job with the right-handed right up to hold Pagan close to the bag. He seems to be doing a little better job than Ramirez did.
Doing 1 to David. Ugla and Ramirez having a meeting near the bag at second.
I'll tell you, that front foot is still away from the plate, but it looks like that back foot has crept a little closer to the dish for David. And that swing tonight, I don't know if he can bottle that, but it is spot on. And maybe that's a goal of all the Mets, at least right-handed hitters. We saw Francoeur up on the dish, right a little closer.
Two from Sanchez. Hit hard, foul. Two. Another good rip by Wright. Well, we've seen him take more good swings tonight than we have seen in a while.
It's just amazing how he can waver back and forth between being locked in and not locked in at all.
Sanchez and Hayes having trouble getting together.
be a series of signs. Begun on third.
Two. David fouls it off.
Begun on second, I'm sorry. When you have that runner on second, you'll see the catcher give a myriad of signs. It could be as little as 3, sometimes 4 and 5 signs. For most pitchers, they'll do either the first sign or second sign. If you want to get real complicated, you can go sign after 2. Whatever makes it easier for the pitcher to get to that sign quickly.
8th pitch of the at bat to right, and he struck him out with a high fastball. First strikeout for Sanchez, and that's the second out of the inning.
Really the only ball in the at bat for Wright tonight that he chased out of the strike zone. Fastball upstairs and just underneath. Boy, that ball almost covered by David. What you're trying for there with the ball out of the strike zone is just foul it off.
So now 2 out and 2 on for Ike Davis, who has walked and been called out on strikes twice. 2 on and 2 out. And the off-speed pitch is down for ball 1. He's had a little trouble with Chad Fairchild in his strike zone. First strikeout, he was ahead 3-0 and took 3 fastballs in a row and was struck out by Johnson. Now he's ahead 2-0. Jeff Francoeur has driven in a pair of runs tonight, waiting on deck.
I tell you, I will say though, and I know frustration plays a big part for any young player, but for Ike, the shaking of the head and that kind of body language is not going to endear himself to the men in blue. And I know it's hard to hold that back, but it's something you have to do.
Now it's 2-2. Two on, 2 out, 2-2 to Ike Davis. Off speed, hit the third. Short hop by Helms, and they get the force to end the inning. Beltran wasn't running even though there were 2 out. Must have forgotten how many out there were. Still 4-2 New York. All-time home run leader.
I got to guess. Red Sox?
That's right. Mike Lowell
nice.
held the record with 143 before he was dealt to the Red Sox as the throw-in in the Josh Beckett for Hanley Ramirez trade. Brett Hayes leads off against R.A. Dickey in the 7th and takes a knuckleball for a strike. Hayes, the number 8 hitter and catcher, has grounded out twice. Emilio Bonifacio has come out on deck to bat for the pitcher Brian Sanchez. Dickey, who went 9 and 8 1/3 in his last 2 starts, working into the 7th tonight.
It's amazing when R.A. Dickey pitches, he leads the league in opponents exhale. They'll look at that pitch and a big exhale.
Hit hard and through the hole, a base hit for Brett Hayes. So a leadoff hit for the Marlins. 3rd time in 7 innings they've had the leadoff man on. See Ralph Kiner in its television heyday once again as SNY.TV gives Kiner's Corner a new life online. See all the classic interviews throughout the years, plus hear Ralph's current take on baseball's past and present on Kiner's Corner Revisited exclusively on SNY.TV, your online home of all things New York sports.
That is awesome. I have a few of those, you know. There's like 4 or 5 of Kiner's Corner.
On tape?
On tape.
Of you?
Yes.
Really?
And they're not getting them, by the way. They're mine.
Well, maybe if they...
I'll give them to Ralph if he wants them.
Maybe if they give you another $50.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Isn't what that what they paid?
That's what it was.
Manny Acosta, Pedro Feliciano up in the Mets bullpen. Bonifacio, the pinch hitter. He's a switch hitter, but he's going to bat right-handed here. That's his better side. So against the knuckleballer, he'll go right-handed. And Dickey's fallen behind him 2-0. Bert Badenhop, who's been up a lot tonight, up again in the Marlins bullpen as Bonifacio doesn't take advantage on 2-0.
It's a good thing, though. I was surprised that Victorino did not bat from the right side when they were facing R.A. Dickey recently. He's better from the right side. And Rollins also.
Here's a strike. Here's a fastball, 2-2. Dickey up to 93 pitches on the night. Had some long innings early, but not lately. And that just missed. 3-2 to Bonifacio.
Boy, that was a big pitch there. You almost think that he might throw a fastball here. Bonifacio's not a home run hitter.
He does, and Bonifacio gets a base hit. So back-to-back hits for the Marlins to start the 7th, putting the tying runs on base. Nine hits now for Florida, and Dan Warrington finding out who's ready.
Didn't Jerry talk about that when R.A. Dickey first came up? He said managing a knuckleballer can be so difficult because everything can get stirring right away, real quickly.
You don't really have a good concept of when your knuckleballer's tired. How many knuckleballs does it take to get you tired?
Yeah.
I mean, R.A. went out there for the 9th inning with a 1-run lead in Houston in his last time out. And there was every reason to think that everything was in good shape until Blum hit the home run. And then he was taken out after 119 pitches.
It's pretty interesting, right? A big part of the game. Ruben Tejada coming in to speak to R.A. Dickey.
So here's Ramirez, who's 2 for 3, and that knuckleball misses badly. Ball 1. So it's starting to get away from R.A. a little bit.
You don't want it to get away against the Marlins' best hitter.
Ramirez with 16 home runs this season. And that knuckleball let her high for a strike, 1-1. Logan Morrison, the number 2 hitter on deck. Ramirez swings through it, and it's 1-2. Well, we said right from the outset tonight that R.A. had as much movement on his knuckleball as we've seen, and it has continued to move all night. Hanley came up grimacing after that last swing.
It hurt his wrist. Seen that before. Swings so violently.
Now the 1-2. Might be 2. Tejada with the turn. Safe. Ramirez just beat it out. It took Tejada maybe an extra half a beat to get rid of that ball, and that might have cost him.
It did. Nice feed by Reyes. And see how he just stayed in his glove just a bit. But boy, very close at first base.
Good
and
call.
Bang, bang. Good call. Titchener's having a nice game at first base.
He's had a couple of very tough ones and has gotten them right. So now runners at the corners with 1 out. Such a huge difference. Out or safe on that play. Could be 2 out and a runner at third. Instead, first and third and 1 out for Morrison, who's 1 for 3, singled and scored back in the third. And he yanks one foul. Hayes is at third. Ramirez at first with 1 out. Ramirez has already stolen 2 bases tonight. What do you think about trying to move that tying run into scoring position? Off the corner to Morrison, 1-1. Anthony Ramirez continuing to shake out his left hand when he stands down at first base, and I wonder whether that slows him down in terms of his running game at all. Sounds odd, but
well, he's a head first slider too, so.
And he's really not getting much of a lead at all.
It's almost like because of the bit of the injury there, just kind of shutting it down. 2-1, 1 out, though. It's a nice time to go.
And Morrison takes it high, ball 3. So it's not coming easily right now for Dickey. And you got the very dangerous Gabby Sanchez standing on deck.
Well, another knuckleball or a sinker down, hoping for a double play. Shake off.
Knuckleball in for a strike, 3-2. He stayed with his bread and butter.
The gutty pitcher, R.A. Dickey, I'll tell you.
Hayes at third, Ramirez the tying run at first. 4-2 New York, 7th inning. See if Ramirez runs. And Dickey almost got him. That's the second time he's had Ramirez flat-footed.
And not going back with the slide, going and standing up. Boy, that's close. Yeah, he's out.
We got him. 3-2, he runs, and it's fouled back. So the Marlins trying to stay out of the double play, sending Ramirez. But it looked like Dickey did have him picked off.
You know, it's a harder play sometimes than when the runner goes sliding in. Because see where that glove is? It's on the other side of the lens, and sometimes the umpire cannot see when contact happens.
He does not want to dive in because of that left wrist. Although he would lead back to the bag with his right hand. He's going, and Morrison pops it up. Ramirez sees it, and he'll go back to the bag as Wright reels it in for the second out. So a big out for R.A. Dickey as he gets Morrison to pop up. Now first and third and 2 out, and Gabby Sanchez the batter. Sanchez delivered a sacrifice fly to drive in the first Marlin run in the third, and then he doubled to the fence in right center in the 5th. So he's had a good approach in each of his last 2 at-bats, taking the ball the other way against the knuckleball and hitting it well. 106 pitches deep for R.A. Jerry hoping it can secure one more huge out. And Sanchez hits one deep to left field. Back goes Pagan looking up, and it's out of here. Gabby Sanchez gives the Marlins the lead with a 3-run homer. It's 5-4 Florida. Home run number 15 for Sanchez, a 4 RBI night.
So first pitch hitting, as many of the Marlins have done tonight, and really one of the only bad knuckleballs for R.A. Dickey. Stayed right in the zone, knew it right away, did not have to look.
Well, it was a home run by Jeff Blum in the 9th inning that cost him in his last start. And now it's a 3-run homer by Sanchez in the 7th that puts Florida ahead of Dickey tonight.
Stays right on the same plane. And Sanchez is putting his vote for himself in the Rookie of the Year. Some outstanding numbers.
He has killed the Mets right from the start this season. He's got 22 hits now against the Mets. Hitting over 400 against Mets pitching. A big night tonight. And the Marlins, for the 2nd time against Dickey this year, have put up 5 runs. Ugla chases one to end the inning. 8 strikeouts for Dickey. That matches his career high, but cold comfort after Gabby Sanchez gives Florida the lead. With 2 out and 2 on. Sanchez, home run number 15. 5-4 Florida.
Badenhop, he's one of those guys that can go 2 or 3 innings for the Marlins. Had a great stretch early in the season. Had a little tough stretch there in the middle. He's been pitching much better lately.
Josh Johnson is off the hook now. Brian Sanchez is pitcher of record on the long side, with Florida having taken the lead. A couple of close calls in that top of the 7th inning, keeping the inning alive for the Marlins and taking full advantage on Sanchez's 3-run homer. Now Jeff Francoeur leads off the home 7th, trying to bunt his way on, with Helms playing way back at 3rd. Jeff has driven in 2 runs tonight with a pair of sacrifice flies.
You see the outfield deep, straight away in the infield. Ugla a little to pull.
Breaking ball bounced to 3rd, and Helms with time to play it. 1 out. Well, the Mets had 2 leads tonight against one of the best pitchers in the game, and a pitcher who's given them so many fits over the years. Very, very frustrating to twice give up the lead.
Well, I think what the frustrating part about it is that it seems like this has been a microcosm of the Mets season. When they pitch really well, they don't always score a lot of runs, and when their pitchers struggle.
Only hits one deep to center, but Maben with plenty of room for the 2nd out.
It's the same night they're having one of their best offensive efforts.
Well, Badenhop throws 3 pitches and gets 2 outs. Will Ullman, the left-hander, is up in the Florida bullpen. Tejada is due up, but he's been called back. And we're waiting to see who's going to hit. Chris Carter, Jesus Feliciano available as left-handed pinch hitters, and it's going to be Feliciano. And presumably, if he gets on, we'll see Carter to bat for the pitcher. So Jesus Feliciano, who was called up Sunday when Ron Barajas left on waivers to go to the Dodgers, rounded out as a pinch hitter on Sunday. Carter with a bat in his hands, hoping Feliciano can get aboard and give him a chance. Maybe this will be one of these free-scoring, late-inning kind of games, kind of which the Mets have not had a whole lot of. Heck, their last homestand, they played 6 games against the Rockies and the Phillies. 22 runs were scored total in those 6 games. That's 3.7 runs per game for the two teams combined.
Well, if there's some scoring late, I think it would favor the Mets if they could get some runs, because the Mets bullpen has been outstanding.
Carter on deck. But Feliciano grounds one right to Uggla. And so Badenhop comes in, throws 5 pitches, and has a 1-2-3, bottom of the 7th. Tough night for Dickey. 5-4 Marlins. FreeScore.com. Turn a credit score triple play at FreeScore.com. 3 scores, 1 source. FreeScore.com. By Acura. And by State Farm. Today's State Farm agent of the day is the great Pat Cawley of Glendale, New York. R.A. Dickey out after 7 innings. He had himself a lead until one unfortuitous pitch to Gabby Sanchez. Mike Stanton leads off the 8th against Bobby Parnell. Luis Castillo comes in to play second base. He'll bat 9th and lead off the next inning.
Well, he's tossed 5 consecutive scoreless frames, which saw LIJ numbers for Bobby.
Most important number on that last road trip for Bobby was 102.
Wow.
The hardest pitch thrown in the majors in Houston, and then he came back in Pittsburgh and was throwing 100 miles an hour again. 96 on that last pitch to Mike Stanton, who's 0 for 3 today. 1-2 to Stanton, with Wes Helms and Cameron Maybin to follow.
I wonder if with the troubles with Francisco Rodriguez, Mr. Parnell has seen an opportunity here. He's trying to turn it up a notch.
.99 miles an hour, and it just missed. Well, I'll say this. With that kind of stuff, there's every chance for Parnell at some point to get a chance to close, but he first has to prove that he can be an effective pitcher in the 8th. Because when he's been given that chance in the past, he has not thrived with it. But he strikes out Stanton with a slider for the first out in the 8th. 1 out. Chris Carlin standing by with a New York State Smokers Quit Line game break. All right, thanks, Chris. Meanwhile, in Philadelphia, the Astros continue to lead the Phillies 2-1 as they go to the bottom of the 8th. Here's Wes Helms, who's 1 for 3. Singled back in the 2nd inning. Dickey threw 110 pitches tonight over 7 innings, allowed 5 runs, 10 hits, no walks, and he matched his career high with 8 strikeouts, 2 wild pitches, and the 1 fateful home run. Just foul. Is it just me, or does it seem as though every Mets starting pitcher has been victimized by crucial home runs lately?
Really have. You're talking about Santana with a couple home runs he gave up in Pittsburgh despite having a complete game.
And the 2 he gave up in Houston to Hunter Pence, which accounted for all the runs against him. Dickey gave up the home run to Blum in Houston. East gave up the 3-run homer to Carlos Lee, which was enough to beat him. Helms lifts one foul.
I don't know, Gary. Maybe close to 400 starts. I can count on one hand how many games I won when I gave up a 3-run home run. Just alters the entire game. Frustrating part is you're 1 out away from an amazing effort.
One and 2 to Helms with Cameron Maben on deck.
I will say Bobby Parnell, if he would have an equal, would be maybe Daniel Bard in the American League for the Boston Red Sox. So very similar. Daniel Bard, though, has been more tested than Bobby Parnell to this point, especially in the 8th inning. But equal stuff.
Two to Helms. Bounce toward the hole. Reyes on the back end. And cuts down Helms 2 away. Get to Citi Field as the series with the Marlins continues tomorrow night at 7:10 p.m. Get the best seats direct from the Mets at Mets.com or call 718-507-TIXX. Now Cameron Maben with 2 out and nobody on. Maben 2 for 3. Singled twice, took a call 3rd strike in the 6th. Maben just called up from AAA today to reclaim his spot in center field with Cody Ross down. Meanwhile, the Mets recently sent Fernando Martinez back to AAA, and Martinez is hurt again. A sore right knee knocked him out on Sunday, and he's going to sit for a little while. It's just been impossible for Fernando to stay healthy.
You know, it's so hard to know what's inside of a player who gets injured a lot. It's just it's a hard call. You know, is it just bad luck, which it seems to be, or is it just an inability to play through pain? And that's a hard thing to go. You don't know. Sometimes the player doesn't even know when he's a young player like that. There's being broke and there's being hurt, and they're 2 different things.
Brett Hayes on deck. Broken back pop-up, and Castillo is there to play it. And that retires the side. So another impressive inning for Bobby Parnell as he sets him down 1-2-3. Now Castillo, Reyes, and Pagan for the Mets in the 8th. The 7th, you'll remember the home run, but don't forget what came before it.
To me, this is the key play of the game. Nice play by Reyes, and just got stuck in the glove of Ruben Tejada. So Ramirez with that great speed able to beat it. And here, picked off first base, very close. And this is the game changer. If any of those first 2 plays change it all, Javi Sanchez never gets an at-bat.
Well, he did, and Dickey gave up the 3-run homer, and so the Mets are down by a run, and the veteran Clay Hensley will come on to pitch the 8th.
Well, they lost him for a couple of weeks with a sore neck, but Hensley's been back, and he's been one of their best relievers. Really been the guy to set up this season for the Marlins.
Castillo to bat for the first time. And Louis has had very little playing time lately. Been a very difficult thing for him to handle. First time in his career he's been a bench player. But he's hitting just .236 for the year. Reyes and Pagan to follow here in the bottom of the 8th with the Mets down by a run. Josh Johnson went the first 5, left trailing, but was taken off the hook. Brian Sanchez worked in and out of trouble in the 6th. He's pitcher of record on the long side, and Burke Badenhop threw 5 pitches to get 3 outs in the 7th. And gives way to Hensley for the 8th. Castillo lifts one foul. And out of play. That doesn't count.
Nice play on the camera.
And then he tried to flip it to a fan, and it came right back out again.
They're 0 for 2 up there. Down the third base line.
One and 2 to Castillo. And Louis slaps one in the air to left, and Morrison is right there. 1 out. So now Jose Reyes will get his 5th turn at bat. Reyes, who started the night with a 9-game hitting streak, has gone 0 for 4 tonight. Tried to bunt his way on his last time up, and Brett Hayes, the catcher, threw him out. Reyes has 2 hits and 5 career at-bats against Hensley, who spent parts of 4 years with the San Diego Padres. Now 30 years old. Trying to set it up for Leo Nunez, the Marlins closer. And Reyes takes a fastball for a strike.
In fact, in spring training, Hensley looked like he had locked up that 5th spot in the rotation, but the trade for Nate Robertson, the left-hander from the Tigers, pushed him into the bullpen.
Robertson has since passed by the wayside. Let go by the Marlins last month. 1-1 to Reyes. Isanori Takahashi, who is the closer of the moment for the Mets, getting ready. One to Jose, and it's down for ball 2. Angel Pagan has had a good night at the plate on deck. Pagan's had a good night. Reyes is Beltran's had a good night. Wright has had a good night. Reyes pulls one foul. It's 2-2. That's with 4 runs and 7 hits. The way they have pitched lately, most days that would be enough, but not tonight. Down to the 9th in Philadelphia with the Astros up 2-1 on the Phil. Now Hensley's 2-2, and the breaking ball struck him out. Good curve by Hensley to get Reyes, who's 0 for 5. 2 out. Tonight after the post game and at 1 a.m., it's your source for the latest news in New York sports. Could Darrelle Revis be back soon? Every quarterback everywhere seems to hate the Jets, and Johnny Damon is not going to Boston. All on Geico Sports Night tonight after the post game and at 1 a.m. right here on SNY. They're all lined up. Before you know it, Babe Parilli's going to be sounding off.
Retired players, current players.
We'll hear from Burt Jones before long. 1-0 to Pagan, who's 3 for 4 tonight, 2 singles and a double. And Hensley falls behind him 2-0. Angel 1 for 3 in his career against this right-hander. And Pagan takes a strike. I'd love Angel to get to a point where he's able to sit on that pitch on 2-0 and try and hit a tying home run. Golf foul. 2-2. I mean, he's not a home run hitter, but you can think of similar guys to him like a Victorino, who will look in that spot. Curveball hit toward the middle of the diamond, base hit. And Pagan has his 4th hit of the night. Takes a turn, trying for 2. Maven's throw not in time. A hustle double for Angel Pagan.
Remember last year we used to talk about the inability of Pagan to know how to run the bases? That has changed 180 degrees this year. He's just forcing the issue. He knows the situation. There's 2 outs and nobody on. They need a tying run. As soon as you see the rocker hustle in center field, he turns it on and steals that base.
Second 4-hit game of the year for Pagan, and the 4th of his career, his 2nd double of the night. And now the tying run in scoring position for Beltran, who's driven in a run tonight with a 5th inning single. Carlos has been on base 3 times in a row with a single and 2 walks. And Beltran takes a letter high for a strike. Carlos 0 for 4 in his career against Hensley. That's now with 8 hits in the game and needing 1 more to get even. And Carlos takes a fastball strike on the inside edge, and it's 0-2.
Pagan inching off second base, trying to get the attention of Sanchez. Maybe take his line off the hitter Beltran, but he's a veteran. He knows what he's doing.
Breaking ball fouled off. He threw a breaking ball to strike out Reyes. He threw the breaking ball and Pagan got the base hit. Trying to put away Beltran there with that curve.
I think what they're going to do is come in here and change the signs. Let Ramirez, the shortstop, know. You have an 0-2 count. You can bounce that curveball.
Big night for Pagan. And the Mets trying to take advantage. He's got half of the Mets' 8 hits.
Catcher calling for it down.
Young catcher don't want to give that away too early.
Change it up because it looked like he patted down in the dirt and then was calling for the fastball up. Let's watch Brett Hayes work his magic behind there.
0-2. Hit hard, base hit. Pagan being waved around. Stanton's got a strong arm. The throw to the plate offline. Pagan scores. Beltran to second, and the Mets are tied it at 5.
Well, clutch hitting, 0-2 pitch here to Beltran, right down the middle. Hits it between that big hole, and you're right, Gary. Stanton has 5 assists this season with a bullet to home plate, but off. And nice running by Beltran. Pagan's got too much speed. Probably not going to get him at home. By the time Hayes gets that ball, Beltran with a good base running, takes the extra base. Now he's in scoring position.
Second RBI hit of the night for Beltran, and now the go-ahead run on second for Wright, who takes a fastball away for ball 1. The Mets 2, 3, and 4 hitters, Pagan, Beltran, and Wright, a combined 8 for 12 tonight. David with a single and a triple. It all started with the hustle of Pagan racing to second for that 2-out double. Wright pops one foul, and that'll come back out of play, 1-1.
Jerry's been asking for the middle of this lineup to do it in the last 2 months now, and to get maybe 2 back-to-back 2-out hits would be really something.
Mets have gotten R.A. Dickey off the hook, and now trying to grab a lead in the bottom of the 8th. And Wright gets tied up, and he went around, 1-2.
Fastball running in off the plate ties David up.
Now Hensley ahead 1-2, and the breaking ball down and away. David came up with a runner in scoring position in the 6th inning. And Brian Sanchez struck him out. Mike Davis hoping for a turn on deck. 2-2 to Wright. Curve ball, and that's off the plate. Full count. Now with first base open, is he going to throw a 3-2 curve?
You might see the same pitch or fastball in running off the plate. But you got to check swing on that pitch.
Now the 3-2. Fastball, strike 3 call. Right down looking to end the inning. But the Mets get even. Carlos Beltran having a good night. On base 4 times. His second RBI hit brings home Pagan. TV. Get the best in HD free with IOTV. By Delta, New York's most global airline, is a proud sponsor of the New York Mets. By Parts Authority, the future of auto parts. By Pepsi Max, 0 calories, maximum Pepsi taste. By your local tri-state area Audi dealers. By Advanced Radiation Centers with 6 New York area locations. ARC is the region's leader in cancer radiation treatment. For more info, log on to advancedradiationcenters.com. And by Jacari Supply, official distributor of PPG Paint and proud sponsor of the New York Mets. Yushinori Takahashi comes in to pitch the 9th inning for New York.
Got his first saved on August 16th against the Houston Astros. See Takahashi's numbers so far. Right-handers a little bit, left-handers no chance. Jerry Manuel talked about Takahashi today. He said, as the pop-up to Castillo, he said he just likes his fearlessness and he likes the way he throws strikes. And he said in this league, if you can throw strikes, are fearless, have some guile and guts, you can get some people out. And that's what Takahashi's done all year.
Throws one pitch to get Brett Hayes out. Now Donnie Murphy pinch hitting. Murphy, who had some big pinch hits for the Marlins earlier this year. Former Oakland Athletic. Batting here with 1 out of the 9th. Will Ullman getting ready in the Marlins bullpen to pitch the bottom of the 9th. You've got Ike Davis to lead off for the Mets in the bottom of the 9th. And Tolley also to bat in that inning. Good changeup by Takahashi, 0-2 to Murphy, but it makes you wonder if the Marlins were to get a lead, would they go to Ullman or would they use Leo Nunez? Here's the 0-2. And Murphy goes down on the changeup. 3 pitches from Takahashi and he disposes of the pinch hitter. 2 out.
2 great changeups. This final one, 0-2. You want to bottom it out. Down and away. No chance for Murphy.
Well, the Phillies have tied it up in the bottom of the 9th on a home run by Jimmy Rollins. And they're going to the 10th now in Philadelphia.
I believe he did that with 2 outs.
He did. Here's Hanley Ramirez, is 2 for 4. 2 singles, 2 stolen bases, 2 runs scored. And Hanley takes the changeup low and away for ball 1. Ramirez just 1 for 7 against Takahashi, but the 1 was a home run. And that nips the outside corner, the fastball, 1-1. Takahashi hasn't pitched in 6 days. Mets have been getting such length from their starters. Complete games the last 2 games from Santana and Nice. Off the corner, 2-1.
Really had to be a lot of translating this year for Takahashi. He has been a mop-up man, a guy that was a long man. He went to be a starter. He was the 8th inning guy, and now the closer.
It's a lot of translation. 3-1. Get lost in translation.
Exactly.
But then sometimes Scarlett Johansson shows up.
Well, then things perk up a bit.
Logan Morrison would be next. Takahashi behind Ramirez, 3-1. And the fastball in for a strike. He is fearless. Behind 3-1 against one of the best hitters in the league. Came right after him.
Going to double up with that fastball away.
Shallow right, long run for Francoeur, and it'll drop for a hit. Hanley trying for second. Francoeur pegs it. Not in time. And Ramirez is in with a 2-out double. Good base running by Ramirez. Jerry Manuel's going to come out and argue the call.
Well, what a play by Francoeur with that one-hop throw. That's why Ramirez can hurt you. Look at the hustle out of the box. You don't always see that. And this game has had so many good base running. Pagan in the top of the inning. I mean, the bottom of the inning. It doesn't look like Reyes applied the tag.
Ball was there in time, but the tag was not made. And Ramirez did get in safely. Another good call. That's the other thing about this game. The umpiring, for the most part, except for that missed call at first on the pickoff, which is a tough call.
Yeah.
The umpiring has been terrific. Mike Riley right on top of that play. So Jerry has gone back to the dugout after arguing, but now Dan Warthen is out for a conversation with Takahashi, bringing a scouting report on Logan Morrison, whom he's never seen before.
On the bottom of the inning, as you see Manny Acosta warming up. Great hustle with 2 outs by Angel Pagan, and the same here for Ramirez. You know, a guy who's been accused of in the past of always not hustling. Got to give him dues when he does.
How about Oman answering his own phone? That never happens. And he gets the closer up. So the left-handed specialist answers the phone and gets the closer up now that the Marlins have a chance to grab a lead.
Well, you can save a little dough if you don't have a bullpen coach, you know?
Morrison is 1 for 4. Singleton scored back in the third. Ramirez at second and 2 out. And a fastball on the outside corner, 0-1. Reed Cornelius is the bullpen coach for the Marlins. I don't know if he's missing in action.
Oh, he's had to do double duties. Catching, that's the problem.
Good stop by Tolley on the breaking ball. 1-1. Reed Cornelius spent some time as a Met.
6 degrees of separation, Gary, that everyone's been through here at one point.
Guess that's probably close to being true. Six degrees of Charlie Samuels.
There you go.
1-1 from Takahashi. And a high fly ball to center field. And Beltran eases under it. So Takahashi pitches a scoreless top of the ninth. Now the Mets will try and set about to winning in their last turn at bat. On with a 4-hit night. Carlos Beltran on base 4 times, drove in the tying run with an 8th inning base hit. David Wright with a couple of hits. Jeff Francoeur 2 sacrifice flies. Now the Mets come up in a 5-5 game in the bottom of the 9th against the veteran left-hander and switchboard operator Will Oman.
A deadline deal for the Marlins. They got Will Oman for Rick Vandenberg. Started this season with Baltimore, appeared in 51 games, 25 consecutive scoreless innings.
Ike Davis leads off and takes high for ball one. The Mets are trying to do something tonight they've done only once this year, and that is win a game where they've trailed after 7 innings. They were down 5-4 going to the 8th, tied it in the 8th, trying to win it in the 9th. Mets are 1-47 when they trail after 7 innings. Ike is 0 for 3 and a walk tonight. Twice has been called out on strikes. Holman gets ahead 1-2. Will Ullman's spent 5 years with the Cubs, a year with the Braves, last year with the Dodgers before going to Baltimore this year. 1-2. Slider off the plate. 2-2 to Davis. Jeff Francoeur on deck, and then Josh Tolle here in the last of the night. And Davis takes it down. Ball 3. So Ike has worked it full again.
It's always a dangerous pitch for the pitchers here. 3-2 slider. Wants to throw for a strike. When you're in that situation, you want to throw a slider, but you don't always throw a good one, Gary, because your brain takes over and says, I got to throw a strike here. Sometimes you hang one in the middle of the plate.
That's what those helicopters form.
That's right.
Right between your ears. 3-2 to Davis. Little tapper. Ullman can't get it. In comes Uggla. Gets away from Sanchez, and Davis is safe. Great effort by Dan Uggla. But he might have hurt himself on the play.
Only person who can make this play was Ullman. He couldn't get to it. Bare-handed by Uggla. It looked like he fell right on his back.
Tailbone, yep.
He makes this play, flips over, and just lands right on his back. And Davis wouldn't have been out despite Sanchez not being able to make the play. You think it was a little closer than that?
I think he might have gotten him if that ball sticks in Sanchez's glove. But that's a spectacular effort by Uggla, who gets to his feet.
He's a tough player, I'll tell you that.
It's an infield single for Ike Davis. Now, we saw Jerry down by a run the other day in Pittsburgh not run for Davis. He does not have Castillo left on his bench, so he doesn't really have a fast runner unless he brings in a pitcher in this spot to run for Davis, carrying the potential winning run.
Only person you would run, really, as a pitcher would be Santana, I would believe. Has the wherewithal, has the speed, knows how to play the game.
Jerry's going to stick with Davis. Francoeur, the batter, 0 for 2 with a pair of sacrifice flies. And Jeff takes below the knees for ball 1. Francoeur has had 1 career at bat against Ullman, and he had a base hit against him. He was his teammate in Atlanta year before last. That's now with 10 hits in the game. Francoeur watches wide, ball 2. Now the third baseman Helms is playing on the line and right even with the bag. Normally he played deep against Francoeur.
Yeah, well now he's backing up a little on this 2-0 count. There he is, back there on the line.
And Frenchie takes a big rip. 2-1.
Frenchie's probably been 2-0 more in the last 8 days than he's been all season, and he got himself in a nice hitting spot. Just missed that pitch from Ullman.
He's had a lot of great at bats, but he hasn't had great finishes. He does have the 2 sac flies tonight, but officially 0 for his last 14. Davis at first and nobody out. And Francoeur takes low and in, ball 3. So Ullman painting himself into a tight corner here. Let's have the left-hand batter Tolley on deck. And behind him is the pitcher's spot. Let's have Hessman, Blanco, and Carter left on the bench. (3-1). Francoeur foul tips one, and it's 3-2.
Another big cut by Frenchie. What you want to try to do, everyone wants to get a walk-off hit. Base hits, keep the train moving.
Now it's 3-2 with Davis at first. Ullman making sure he's not going anywhere. It would be hard to send Davis here because then it's automatic strike him out, throw him out if Francoeur can't make contact. Not going, and Francoeur fouls it off.
Going right at Frenchie with fastballs. Might have swung at ball 4. Too close to take, though.
Pirates have beaten the Cardinals and Adam Wainwright tonight. 4-3 the final. Again, the 3-2. Fouled again. I think that's 2 straight losses.
Yes, it is for Wainwright.
17-8 now.
Well, going into these games against Pittsburgh, Cardinals 17 of their next 20 are going to be on the road. And sandwiched in between that is the 3-game series against the Reds.
2.5 behind Cincinnati starting the night. This will be the 8th pitch of the at-bat to Francoeur. But first a throw over. Davis just steps off the bag. By the way, you know who's homer tonight for the Dodgers in Milwaukee?
Don't say it.
Rod Barajas.
Told you not to say it.
Again, the 3-2. And a high fly ball, right center field. Maben moving over. And he gets there to make the play. Davis went back belatedly to tag up, but he's not going anywhere. That's the first out. So Francoeur with another quality turn at bat that comes up empty. So now Josh Tolley facing the left-hander. Josh is 1 for 4 tonight, double down the left field line back in the 5th. Barajas 3 for 3. Homer, double, 3 RBIs.
Told you not to say it, didn't I?
Well, he's very happy to be playing for his hometown team. Here's Tolley, 1 out and 1 on. And Josh takes in the dirt. Good stop by Hayes, 1-0. Mike Hessman has come out on deck to bat for the pitcher. Nobody up in the Marlins bullpen, so it looks like there will be a left-hander on the mound. And Tolley takes a fastball for a strike, 1-1. Manny Acosta getting ready in the Mets bullpen to pitch a 10th inning if there is one. After scoreless innings by Parnell and Takahashi behind Dickey. And Tolley breaks his bat and flares one into left. Second hit of the night for Tolley, and the Mets have the potential winning run in scoring position with 1 out. Lose the bat, gain a hit.
Well, Tolley now 2 base hits, both to left field, 1 down the line, and here, of course, a sawed-off job. But with Ramirez playing in at double play depth, that ball able to get over his head.
So now Mike Hessman will try and be a hero. Hessman batting for Takahashi in the number 8 hole. Castillo's in the 9 spot. Hessman, as the pinch hitter, has gone 1 for 5, including a 3-run homer in Philadelphia. Trying to chase Davis home with the winning run. Each team now with 11 hits. Mets have been up 1-0, down 2-1, up 4-2, down 5-4, tied in the 8th, and now trying to win it in the 9th. And Hessman takes a fastball for a strike.
Morrison in left field has a first baseman's arm, not a great arm. In center field, Maidman, a pretty good arm, but erratic. Stanton, an outstanding arm in right field, although playing very shallow in right field against the power-hitting Hessman.
And Hessman fouls one off Hayes. That hurts. But now it's 0-2.
There we go. Morrison in left field, first baseman. He's done a nice job in left field, though. Maybe a little erratic in center field, but great closing speed. And Stanton, just a pretty outstanding right fielder. And a great arm.
Not much speed on the bases with Davis at second and Tolley at first. If Hessman can't get it done, Castillo would be next. The 21st pitch of the inning coming from Ullman. And another good stop by Hayes. Boy, he's been in the dirt a lot this inning. 1-2.
Hayes has shown a great ability to block the ball all night long. Gets that one with his wrist. I will say, though, for the veteran Ullman, he's in different waters here. He's a guy that usually comes in and faces one batter and is out of there. Extended inning for Ullman.
One and 2 to Hessman. And Mike Fowl tips one, held by Hayes. Strike 3. That's the second out.
A good slider by Ullman, and it's down. Nice job by Hayes catching that ball right before it hit the ground, ensuring the strikeout.
So now 2 out and 2 on, and Luis Castillo will come up for the second time, this time as a right-hand batter. And you know Louis occasionally will pull the ball right-handed. And he takes the first pitch down for ball 1. So Castillo, who's played very little over the last couple of weeks, trying to find the winning hit here in the bottom of the ninth. Ullman's 1-0. Castillo flares it, shallow right, base hit. Here comes Davis coming home. Stanton's thrown to the plate. Off road. The Mets win it. Nobody's ever loved a pounding more than the one Luis Castillo is receiving right there. Luis Castillo with the walk-off hit in the bottom of the ninth, and the Mets win it 6-5.
Relegated to the bench. He gets the big hit, the walk-off hit against the team. He probably had his best baseball, played his best baseball with a little fastball, inside jam, playing very shallow with Stanton. Had a chance, but throwing this on the run, it runs up the line. And no chance for the tag. Good secondary lead by Ike Davis. Cuts the bag closely. Not a lot of speed. Great base running.
Only the second time this year that the Mets have won a game that they trailed after 7 innings. The first time was back on May the 11th against Washington. The Mets get a run in the 8th and a run in the 9th, and they beat the Marlins 6-5.
If there's been any magic for this Mets team, most of it has happened here at Citi Field.
The Mets' 5th walk-off win of the season as they start the homestand in a back-and-forth game by overcoming the Marlins. The game-winning hit by the Marlins' all-time leading hit maker. Castillo with the game-winning blow to make a winner out of Takahashi, who pitched a scoreless top of the 9th.